Yo, I've put 77.7 hours into this game. And honestly, I didn't even like it. Not to say it's a bad game, it's a great game. In fact, it's so good that I played it for 70 hours and I didn't even like it. The craziest part is, I thought I was having fun the whole time. But the secret is, I wasn't. Needless to say, this realization made me very unhappy. I didn't even know you could retroactively stop having fun. Now, I hear you asking,
if you thought you were having fun, doesn't that just mean you were having fun?
No, shut up. Now, you might think I'm just getting into semantics, but it's actually deeper than that. It has to be. Because otherwise, me taking all this time thinking about it and making this video would just be a waste of time. Gamers often see fun and addicting as interchangeable, and I'm the same. I mean, I spent half of my childhood on addictinggames.com. And even still, Reddit's filled with users looking for the next most addicting game that they can spend 1,000, 10,000 hours on. And yeah, again, most of my life, I was right there with you. Until Balatro. This video is not meant to disparage Balatro in any way. I just don't ever play deck builders. Then, you know, why did I play Balatro? It was everywhere, man. It was, I couldn't escape Balatro. It was nominated for Game of the Year as a solo dev indie project. And even genres I don't like, I still can appreciate new and unique mechanics. So I was interested to see. But then the moment I downloaded Balatro, I don't remember anything else. It was just poker and jokers, jokers and poker and jokers. And then my girlfriend, who's not a gamer, but she, you know, she means well and she wants to be involved in my hobbies, she asked me if they're making a Balatro 2. And while I knew that was like not the case, I still had like a guttural reaction. Jokers, oh God, I hope not. And then she said something that changed everything. She said, I thought you liked Balatro. And I said, me too. I thought I liked Balatro too. And this reminded me of something we all know. Fun is more subjective and addiction is more physiological. I'm not gonna explain drugs to you, you know, you've seen TV and movies. You've never tried them in real life, of course. But there are some things even beyond like just chemicals that are universal addiction triggers. And in video games, these things come in the form of like variable reward schedules, progression systems, dopamine feedback loops. This is all very new stuff, very recently discovered. It's called psychology. I think it was invented in like the late 2000s. And fun is more subjective. So for example, I might like Frogger 2 Swampy's Revenge, and if you don't, then maybe you might have bad taste. Subjective is what I'm saying. It boils down to this. There are some things you can do to make something more addictive to everyone, but there's nothing you can do to make things more fun for everyone. And just to further draw the gap, there's obviously some games that are fun and not addictive, and some games that are addictive and not fun. The first thing that comes to my mind is the slots, slot machines, pachinko. It's all over Japan. And you know, I walked into one of those places and I don't think I saw one person having fun. Example of something that's fun and not addictive. I just rewatched Yu Yu Hakusho, an old anime. And it was like back in the day when they like didn't fully understand how to do cliffhangers, I guess, because every episode just ends with a guy that's like, and the bad guy just did his secret move. Will Yusuke be able to survive? Find out next time on Yu Yu Hakusho. And I gotta say, did not leave me on the edge of my seat. I was not addicted to that show by any means. I had no need to watch the next episode, but I enjoyed the show, so you know, I occasionally made time to watch it. I don't know where that example came from. I don't even know if it strikes the right chord, but it's the one I'm gonna stick with because it's the first thing in my mind. So addiction as a quality of a game isn't just different from fun. I would go as far as to say it's a net negative. Like look at this very professional chart that I got from probably like Money Magazine or something. If a game is fun and addicting, then you have fun, but you can't stop. Possibly problematic. If a game is fun but not addicting, you have fun, but you also do your laundry. But this right here is the danger zone. This is when the game is not fun and it's addicting. And this way, you don't have fun and you don't have clean clothes. That's a double whammy. I've straightened up that quadrant a few times, more times than I'd like to admit, honestly. But you know, next thing you know, 100 hours is gone. And you're like, how did that even happen? I assume that almost everyone watching right now is a human. And as such, you've probably realized your brain's not perfect. It's flawed in many predictable ways. Sometimes that can work in our favor. I mean, there's some bugs in games that are notoriously fun to abuse. Super jumps in Halo, deading in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the entire game of Mario 64. But sometimes the flaws in our brain can be used against us in more devious ways. Let's start with the best way that a video game can be addictive to us. And that's gameplay loops. Gameplay loops are just the regular activities you do that loop back into each other. The way that the gameplay loops make gaming addictive is that most gameplay loops have designated areas for you to stop playing. But those areas can be very small and easy to ignore. An example is like Call of Duty. You have the bigger gameplay loop of the entire match, but then you have the smaller gameplay loops inside of the match. So you're going out and you're just getting killed and not getting any kills. If you were gonna quit in the middle of a match, after you get killed and before you respawn, let's say you had to go to the bathroom, that's where you do it. If you had to get a drink, that's where you do it. But the time you quit playing the game is the exit point of the larger gameplay loop. When the match is over, then you have time to decide to stop playing. But what if Call of Duty made that exit point significantly smaller and they made the matches significantly longer? Let's say Call of Duty made matches take an hour. In the last 5 minutes, if you die, then they ask you if you want to pre-queue. And so as soon as the game ends, you're already in the queue for the next match and you're waiting for maybe 5 seconds before you're entered into a new match. All of a sudden, Call of Duty becomes way more addictive. People are having way more time calling that last match, you know? So you have games like Civilization with like a 5-hour-long match and very little exit points within the match. And so it's very hard to pull yourself away until, you know, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and your girlfriend's yelling at you and she feels like sometimes you love Civilization more than you love her. Gameplay loops are required for a game, so it's not like a dev could avoid it. In fact, I think that a gameplay loop that starts very quickly after it ends is ideal. And so while I just said the quality of being addicting, it's like a net negative for the game, that's from the player's perspective. If you're a dev, you want to make that gameplay loop as tight as possible, because that's kind of what makes a good game. The second thing that is less excusable is like the gambling mechanics in games. The loot boxes and like rare random drops from loot. And that's not always bad, of course. There's some times where, you know, it does enhance the game, but sometimes it makes you mindlessly grind for hours. Adding these addictive activities into games is sometimes the right thing to do for the developers, especially when it comes to like making your gameplay loop tight, but like there are some ways it's just manipulative. Even if it's done the right way, there are some devs that know that their gameplay loop is so tight and so addicting that they have to actively incentivize gamers or tell gamers to stop playing. Like I was playing Bloons Tower Defense 6 on my phone. At a certain round, Bloons sends you a message and is like, yo, Bloons is great, but so is grass. MMORPGs have been known to do something like this. Final Fantasy XIV implemented like a fatigue system, so you gain less experience if you're on for one session too long. And World of Warcraft, I think, did like the rested bonus, so you get extra XP during the beginning of your session to incentivize people to like, you know, shower. It's good that some developers are looking out. So the point of all of this is that games don't just happen to be addicting, they're designed to be addicting, and sometimes that's great because a fun, addicting game can be a truly joyous experience. But then the question is, who's gonna stop me from sliding into the abyss of what is an ultra addictive game? Me? Wait, me? For real? I've been burned before, and I'll probably be burned again, but I at least want to know if I'm touching the stove, or maybe, if I can, avoid the stove entirely, you know. Get one of those induction stoves where it only heats up if you put metal on. Is this metaphor landing? I want to avoid playing games I'm not having fun with. I said it. Is that good? You happy? I think the first step in the process for me is identifying what I want out of the experience. And this can be so many different things. For some people, it could be like comfort. Other people could be like a challenge. Some people it's the story. It's the story for me a lot of the times. Maybe you want to experience that, you know, causes anxiety, where you can be ridiculed about living in your mother's basement by a child who, in reality, doesn't even know how nice and cheap your mom's basement is. And importantly, what I think is fun changes from day to day, moment to moment. So maybe today I want something story driven with great writing, and then I'll play Yakuza. And maybe tomorrow I want just like some kind of mindless, stupid minigame, so I play Yakuza. Regardless, I have a way higher chance of getting what I want, having fun in games, if I actually take note of what that is. And as obvious as it sounds, sometimes we don't do that, right? We just play the game that we've been playing. Balatro. And also I just realized that there's this litmus test that's been built into my life several times, and it kind of already separates the games I want to play from the games I don't want to play but I'm still playing. Growing up with 6 older brothers, I realized that there's not an amount of save files that could possibly protect my data. I could save on the 76th of 99 save files and my brothers will find it. They will choose it, they'll either delete it or they'll mess it up and spend all my money on gummy ship parts. Jordan? This has happened to me several times. I don't know if it's like Skyrim or Kingdom Hearts or Donkey Kong 64, Mario 64, but without even realizing it, that like great reset shook me out of it. I wasn't gonna go back and play a game that I wasn't enjoying if my data was deleted, right? So for example, when my data was deleted on Skyrim after having like 100 hours in, yeah, I was bummed, but like I just kept playing Skyrim. Of course it sucked, but it showed me at least that I definitely wanted to be playing Skyrim. Now, if we take on the other hand, it's much harder to remember games you don't restart, but I can remember one for certain. I had the Emperor's New Groove game on PlayStation, and I can't even for the life of me think about why any of my siblings would want to play that game, but one day I booted it up and no more save file. All my hard work running through the jungle with Cusco and Pacha, gone. Just like that. Needless to say, I did not finish that game. This isn't to say I'm gonna start deleting my files to see if I actually like games. I'm just gonna do the mental process. I'm gonna think, what if my brothers were here and they deleted my progress? Would I start playing this game again from the beginning? If the answer is no, it doesn't mean like I didn't like the game or I'm not having fun with it, but it could point me in the direction maybe I'm not having that much fun anymore. And this leads me to the final thing that I need to remind myself of constantly. Am I playing because I'm having fun or am I playing to finish? Like, have you ever been playing a multiplayer game and the team you're playing against is just clearly dominant? After like 3 minutes in, there's no chance for you to win, and it's gonna be just a slog for the rest of the game? That's not fun. And you know, your less well-adjusted friends may actually quit, may throw the controller and just give up midway through the game, and you're like, glad I'm an adult. But maybe you should learn from them. I'm not saying quit in the middle of multiplayer games, but I am saying that like that mentality of like, I'm not having fun anymore and this is a game, so I'm going to stop playing it, is a mentality we should adopt for single player games at least. I can't tell you how many games that I've like not been enjoying the last 30 hours, but I just don't stop playing because I gotta finish for some reason to prove that I'm a real gamer or something. I gotta get my gamer cred up. Impress Video Game Donkey. In the past, I've struggled to take my own advice on this, but that was until I found this new kind of radical way of thinking about it. What if I didn't finish my game? And I know that sounds crazy, but if this is something you could relate to, check out this video. I talk about trying to stop finishing every game you play, because come on, there's games, man. You got plenty of games to choose from, so stop it. Get some help. That way you have more time to play games you actually love, which is perfect because my name is Terrence. I'm gonna keep playing games till I find the perfect one. Peace, love,